Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I don't know what it is, but you know what? I know what it is. It's the universe showing up because in my circle, people have been talking about their purpose. I just talked about this last night. I'm in a new group of people, um, and that came up in terms of what is your purpose in life. And I truly believe when you nail your purpose, everything's great. You just feel like you're aligned in the universe. Everything feels good. How do you unlock that? Find your purpose, find your passion. She helps people with that all the time figure it out through many different modalities. We're going to talk about that and this thing called the inner child that may be holding you back from your purpose, your passion, lots of other stuff too. She is very intuitive. She does guided readings, meditations, hypnotherapy, past life regressions, and she's back with us from up yonder in the cold north. Tiffinnea Roberts is here. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me again. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. I'm sometimes it like surprises me why these things happen. But you show up today after a whole conversation last night. I'm not even kidding. Uh about about our purpose. And it's I joined a men's group and I'm the scribe. So I was just doing the minutes and sending it to everybody, what we talked about last night. And it's centered on finding your purpose, how you know what that is, how it changes your life. Do you feel when you talk with people or you guide them through your Intuitive Energy Academy that people don't know what their purpose is or even how to find it?
Um, yeah, often. There's also times where people come to me and they say, I thought I knew my purpose. I thought I had everything going. Everything was great. What happened now? And it's almost like they were living their dream life and they were like, well, where did my purpose go? They all of a sudden feel lack of something, right? I
Hmm.
maybe some people can relate with this, but I believe it comes down to we are always learning, always learning. And if if knowing that we are always learning and we are always evolving, then our purpose would be evolving as well. So once you got the lesson or helped be of service to whatever it was that you were doing that you felt was purposeful to you and fulfilling to you, and when that is over, those doors are closing, it might feel like, well, maybe I was never meant to do any of that. And you probably were, but now there's something else in store for you.
Hmm. You're making me think. You're making me think very deeply about this. It was my feeling that your purpose is your purpose. You were put on this planet to do this, to help others, to sustain yourself, but feel fantastic doing it. But what I'm getting from you is your purpose can change.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
There, there are, take parents, for example. At certain stages, they're like, I'm just happy being a parent. This is what I was meant to do. Well, are they going to have that feeling forever? No, their kids are going to grow up and they're going to join, their community and the society as an adult. Right? So what do they do from there? Their purpose can't be just to be a parent. They need to have something else, right, for themselves because they are their own soul. Yes, we are all connected as one by source, but we still have our own journey.
Hmm.
Being it doesn't mean that uh, we are stuck together to do everything. And if we're meant to do the same thing and have and have just one purpose for our whole life, then why do we change as humans? Why do we have different ages? Why do we um, why do we go through health changes, body changes? Of course, we're meant to change. Our purpose that we were thinking when we were, I don't know, maybe 12 years old is not going to be our purpose that we are thinking or maybe happy with when we are 60, right? And that's okay. That's why people are needed for different things. Um, that's why educators and teachers are steered against telling students who they should be, what they should do, what would be fulfilling to them. Because we are not all meant to do the same thing. And I don't know about you, but the majority of people I know didn't go to university, get their degree, and then that was it. They've probably had 3 or 5 other jobs or even careers since then.
It seems so reasonable. We're always changing, we're always evolving. So it would seem reasonable that our purpose would change along the way. I want to go into, I want to pivot in a little bit different direction to past life regressions. I think a lot of people are afraid of even talking about it, like, or just denying, like, no way that, I came back in a different, form, whatever it might be. Um, I believe it's possible. I really do. Um, what do you hear from people when they want to get a past life regression reading or session with you? What are their motivations?
It could be from so many different motivators there, and intentions. So I would say, for the most part, people will come to me and say, I feel like something's blocking me. There's a trauma. I'm covered in something. Can you just take it away? And I'll let you know right now, that's not the way it really works.
And how do you know the trauma came from a past life? There's that.
Right. And there are some people that come to me, maybe because they know a different client of mine, but I will help people go through their childhood and into past lives if they're trying to pinpoint a certain trauma or fear that they have or block. Of course, it's there for a reason. But what I really love to do is go into the past lives of people, or go through childhood and then into their past lives to see what skills they had, what talents they had. And so they could bring them to this life and make things a little bit easier so they don't have to keep reinventing the wheel every life. And they could strengthen those skills that they've had from before and understand why they are naturally good at some things. And maybe taking a harder time learning something else because it might be their first time around. So people can come for all, and they do come for all different reasons. I love when somebody's being curious, because I think that's when that's when like the fun, the magic happens. Of course, when people are coming directly with trauma on their mind, chances are they're looking to work through something. And I always encourage the people looking for this to start with inner child work. Right, because it can be traumatizing going through your childhood into past lives. And many people, they'll come to me and they'll say, oh, I want to go into my past life when I was a warrior. I want to go into my past life when I was my richest, when I was this, when I was that. And that's not really the way it works either. It's you're going through, and chances are you're going to enter into a different past life every single time you enter into this state of like being extremely relaxed and being so comfortable. You can't get there unless you're comfortable. And men will say to me sometimes, just make sure it's not a life where I'm a woman.
We can't guarantee that. I'm sorry. It is,
that.
it is what it is.
Yeah. And people will say, make sure it's only a happy past life. Well, you can't guarantee that either. Your energy is going to go where it needs to at that moment in time.
Talking with you, Tiffinnea, thank you for all the insight. I feel we should call them regressions instead of a past life because of what you just said. You take somebody back to their childhood, and that's the inner child, which we're going to dig into in just a moment. But if nothing is eradicated, detected there, that is troublesome. Usually there is, but we'll talk about that. Then it goes into the past life where there could be things sitting there generationally, and all of that. Um, Inner child. Am I right in thinking that the term inner child is the child inside of you, and there always one? And I don't necessarily mean, I always say I'm a big kid having fun with responsibility. I try to look at things, in a fun way. It's more of the things that you endured as a child that impact your adult life. And there may have been not even super serious things or traumatic things, but they were placed in your mind somehow. Again, could be the most minor thing, but now that's that block standing between you and happiness, your passion, your purpose, and all of that. Am I getting that right?
I would never say there's a right or wrong way to think of something that has so much to it. But you're definitely on the right track. And I would say that the majority of people, when they think of like inner child work or inner child traumas or blockages, that's what they're thinking for sure. I think it's important for people to remember that your inner child is you. You're not different. You can close your eyes probably right now and envision yourself younger or as a child. And if you can't, if you're like, I just can't picture myself, take a picture of yourself as a child. And if you don't have one, draw one. It'll work just the same. And just envision yourself as that child. And maybe you're envisioning yourself in a happy moment. Maybe you were there beside a gift you got or at a birthday party, or maybe it was a time that it wasn't so happy. Maybe you were getting in trouble for something. And
Hmm.
so, but it's important to remember that all of those things, whether you remember them or not, still have created you. That's still a part of you. You're no different. And so many people will say, well, I would never be mean to a child, but if it's an adult, it doesn't matter. And well, that to me is really funny. And I hear that quite often. And so they're hard on themselves as an adult. And so I often direct my clients to look within and see themselves as that younger version of themselves, as that child being yelled at or receiving their first bike or eating their first, I don't know, favorite treat, so the first time they had it. And ask themselves, well, what experiences do you want them to have? What experiences do you know that they're going to go through that you maybe didn't want them to have, but you survived and you're on the other end?
Now, are you talking about, I want to make sure I heard it clear, the experiences you want them to have, meaning your kids or your child, your inner child?
You could think of it as another child. I think that's some people's starting point actually, because some of my clients will come to me and they can't think of themselves as a child anymore. They blame themselves for so many things and they feel guilty for things. And so I asked them to look at this small child as in it was another child that they knew. And they're actually able to be like, oh, well, if I wouldn't treat them like that, why would I treat me as a child like that? Why would I treat me like that now? So it really depends where you're at. I wouldn't say that there's a one size fits all because everybody was a different child. Everybody had a different childhood, no matter what you grew up with. But really looking at yourself and knowing that you are still that child learning.
Mm. It's such a great point. And even if you factor out child for a split second, we would never speak to somebody that we love the way we speak to ourselves, either verbally or in our minds. Get up in the morning, you look in the mirror. Oh my God, what the heck is that? Like, look at you, look horrible today. Ah, you'd never walk up to somebody you love and say, "Love, you look like butt today." Like, what happened to you? We'd never do that. We'd never do that. And it is so true when you think about how would you I've heard this term a lot lately, reparent. We're reparenting ourselves and our inner child. And you just think of, I think of those scenarios and situations. You just brought back one for me. Um, I've always been a creative kid. And I remember one time my father, and that as I closed my eyes, if you saw, I was thinking, and I pulled this image out. Didn't have the best relationship with him. My parents got divorced when I was younger. Um, no, not horrible or anything, but not the best relationship. And I remember getting a new camera for Christmas. It was the X15 from Kodak. And I was so excited. I could be creative, take pictures. And he was sitting on the couch, and I turned and I was like, "Hey, Dad!" And I took a picture. I wanted to capture a candid, like an unplanned photograph, and he wasn't happy about it. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you wasting film? And what are you doing that for?" And he didn't get what my intent was. And I was like, "All right, okay." Well, back then it was film. So, it was one picture out of 12 that, was used, but I remember still having the picture, probably do somewhere. All right. So he wasn't smiling and everything, but it was a real picture. And it kind of stifled my creativity for the moment. But if you take those little things and add them up, and I have teachers have said things to me, one teacher in 11th grade wanted to be a cartoonist, told me, "You are an underachiever." Never forgot it. And those things I think you're referring to that we keep with us that block us later in life until you go back and confront them through whatever modality works for you. Me, it's hypnotherapy that works well. If you're going to reparent yourself, how do you do it? How do you suggest to somebody? Again, sweet spot for me, hypnotherapy works great. Somebody's not feeling it. What would you do?
All right. Well, I do, as you know, hypnotherapy.
Sure.
So I often that's kind of like my first go-to. And for the clients that aren't so comfortable with that, I often start with breath work. And
Okay.
immediately they're like, okay, I'll do the hypnotherapy. It seems like they want like a bit of a mixture with that.
Okay.
Um, I do have like even like reparenting worksheets and a workbook that I have. I think that'll be up on my website in the next little bit where people can print off things. So
Hmm.
there, there's a lot of ways to do it. I do like doing things through energy though, because I find when clients will come to me or people will be talking just in conversation, they're telling me what they want me to hear. And I'm probably only hearing what I want to hear. So energy doesn't lie. So often I will have somebody I'm like, oh, you don't need to tell me why you're here. You just sit down, and I have them do some breath work where I have the ability to just go with their permission. I go into their body and I pull out the story that they need guidance on, or I pull out the cords or the pieces of their energy which need to be cut or cleared. And so then they can
Oh,
really get down to the root of what they're trying to, I don't really want to use the word fix, but where they're trying to go with their life. If they're trying to figure out their purpose, if they're trying to figure out why they're angry, whatever it is that they are looking to um, achieve guidance on, then I think that that's probably the easiest way, because you'll always have that person that comes to you and says, but it's not that, it's this, but it's not that, it's this. And I like was sometimes I would just want to be like, well, if you know what it is,
right, right.
then work on that. But they often keep coming back until they actually do embrace the energy work. And the energy could be stuck somewhere, showing up as in, a sore back, or digestive issues, or, swollen feet or something. And so when they come in and they embrace the help and the energy being able to move and being lifted and changing the energy, and really feeling into change. Like I could say healing, and healing is a part of it, but it's mostly change, feeling different, and becoming different, the becoming of something. And so you need to change your energy for that. And you see like amazing things happen. You see people making business decisions that they probably wouldn't have made before, and they, turn in their favors. You see people making choices of the way they deal with relationships, especially with themselves. I have a lot of people after doing my meditations, the 30-day meditation challenge that I had sent out. One of the biggest things was, I can't believe that I have the same amount of hours in the day, but more time, because we were able to just achieve more things. And I'm like, you don't have more hours in a day, but you're more clarity. And the next was, I speak nice to myself now. I never spoke nice to myself, and I never realized, but now I realize that when I'm speaking to myself about myself, I have a choice to do it positively or negatively.
Wow. The time challenge, I never thought would be even possible just by doing something like that.
Oh yeah, that's I have a lot of people, they come to me and they're like, I'm so busy, I don't have time to meditate. I'm like, well, if you were so busy, then you are the person that needs to meditate. And I know this personally. I have two sisters, and one of them is go, gets up, runs 10K. She's, working on her business. She has many different businesses, and she's just a go person. She goes, well, I don't really have time to meditate. Maybe I could do it while I'm listening to an audiobook. And I'm like, no. Um, and she was one person that I like sat with her for a bit and was like, you are going to meditate with me. And we would do meditations with my son and his cousins, her daughters. And she was like, how am I getting more done? I'm like, I didn't even know it was possible for this girl to do more. But she said that that's one thing that she noticed now. And now when she's not getting things done super fast, she will take the short break to do, a 7-minute meditation or a 15-minute meditation. And before, she was like, no, I don't have time for that. I have so much to do. But now she knows that when she does that, she calms her mind and she's able to put together. And this is not just her. I have other clients saying the same thing, and other people just doing meditation on their own. I believe if you did the research on this, or like looked, or like seeing what people said, you would see that people have more time throughout the day if they're taking that time to just calm themselves, because chances are they're going to be focused on the things that are most important as well.
Amazing. You're taking time to find time. And logically, your brain would say, well, no, you're taking that 15 minutes and you just took 15 minutes away from your day. What are you doing? But it's the other way around. Interesting, fascinating, learning all about this. How do we connect with you, Tiffinnea?
So anybody could go to my website at intuitiveenergyacademy.com. They could also find me on socials, Tiffinnea Roberts, Intuitive Energy Academy, or Brave Peaceful Lioness.
Or what? Say that. Say I missed that. Say that again.
Brave Peaceful Lioness. It's like one of the aliases up there.
Ah, I love that. Love all of this. Yeah, I learned. I like to think I'm a student of energy, and in my journey, I'm picking up little pieces here and there. But the whole meditation thing and finding more time, never even realized there's a connection there. And same thing with the regressions in life. My thinking is past life regression. We go before, different life to figure things out. But it's all part of the process of how we got here. Part of that is the inner child within you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. I learned a lot today. Not that I'm the expert by far, but definitely picked up some really cool stuff, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, and I will see you again.
Yep, you got it. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.